How's everybody doing? My name is Christopher Brown, host of the podcast Sports Talk with Chris, and today we got some big news. The Boston Celtics offered Jaylen Brown and Derek White, which were being reported as at least one first-round pick for Kevin Durant, but the Brooklyn Nets declined the offer. Now, me personally, when I saw this news, I wasn't surprised. I've been saying for a while that I wouldn't be surprised if Boston, tries to make a move for Kevin Durant. Some people were reluctant, saying, they just went to a finals. Jaylen Brown, had a very good playoff run. His numbers weren't as good as it was the year prior. He didn't make an All-Star this year. But what he did in the playoffs was really, very impressive, especially what he did in the finals. Some people said he was the best player on the court for that Boston Celtics team. And so a lot of people are wondering, why would Boston offer up, Jaylen Brown or bring Kevin Durant? My thing is, why did the Brooklyn Nets decline the trade offer? The Brooklyn Nets, what they want for Kevin Durant, really, I never thought they were able to get. You want a whole bunch of, role players, a whole bunch of quality players, and 1,000 picks, kind of like what Rudy Gobert got. But you want an all-star in that as well. Like, what they were asking for really makes no sense. In my opinion, you're either going to get that Rudy Gobert package, which is, some decent guys, some decent quality players, and a whole bunch of picks. You're going to get your all-star caliber player, another role player with that, and another pick. And in my opinion, this is the perfect deal when I look at Brooklyn. You're getting a Jaylen Brown, who in my opinion is a top 25 player. You're getting a Derek White, adding some more point guard depth, but you can also trade him off to bring in some more big man depth. And Jaylen Brown's if he's going over there to Brooklyn, you got a guy in Kyrie who you don't know if he's going to play every single night. I could see Jaylen Brown easily averaging 25 points if he's the number one scorer on the team. Without a doubt. He proved that in the regular season for the past 2 years, and he proved that in the playoffs, in my opinion. They can easily score with the best of them in the league. But, he does his role well in Boston. So when I'm looking at Brooklyn, I just don't understand why you declined this trade. Like I said, I never thought they were able to get what they were asking for, all-star caliber players and role players and 1,000 picks. Kevin Durant's the top 15 player of all time, but you're asking for too much. A guy that's 34 years old. Get what you can get. And in my opinion, this is one of the best offers, if not the best offer that I saw actually being offered to Brooklyn for Kevin Durant. I just do not understand why they declined this trade. And if some people have some insight into that, please let me know in the comments. But if you were Brooklyn, would you decline this trade? If you want to get Kevin Durant, off your roster and you're getting back a young, under 26 years old Jaylen Brown, who's been in an All-Star game, who's proved that he can play on the big stage, and you get another role player and a first-round pick, to me, that's a perfect package, trade offer, and I just don't understand what Brooklyn is doing. And for me, it's showing me that does the Brooklyn Nets really want to get rid of Kevin Durant? Are they really eager to trade him? Because I thought, again, this was the perfect trade package, and they declined it. So the next question I got, were the Celtics wrong for offering up Jaylen Brown? I mean, on one hand, you got to look at it like this, right? He just went to the finals. But what type of difference would Kevin Durant have made on that roster? You're swapping out, you can swap up Derek White too. So Derek White, Jaylen Brown, you bring in Kevin Durant. What's the difference for that team? Well, I'll say this. I believe they win the finals. Because I look at a guy in Jason Tatum who gassed out in the finals. And yes, I said how amazing Jaylen Brown played, but you mean to tell me Kevin Durant would have played better? He wouldn't have scored more? He wouldn't have been more efficient? He would have. And, one thing I'll give Jaylen Brown his notch over Kevin Durant is the perimeter defense. Other than that, I'm giving all the abilities, all the check marks to Kevin Durant. He's a top 15 all-time player minimum, and that's not for no reason. Dude can flat out play the game basketball. He can pass. He can rebound. He can block shots. He can run protect when he has to. He's the 50, 40, 90 guy when he's at his best, and he can score with the best of them. So if you're just swapping out those two guys for Kevin Durant, I do believe they win the finals. And also when I look at this Boston Celtics team and a run they went on, not for nothing, not going to discredit them. You all know you need some type of luck when you're going to the finals. But can we honestly sit up here and say that they were the best team coming out the East? Because I look at what happened during their playoff run. Okay, you sweep the Boston Celtics. You sweep the Brooklyn Nets. Look how close that was. And they traded away James Harden for Ben Simmons, who didn't play. So you got one of your big three that didn't play any single game. Then I go, and then you move on. You go against, the Milwaukee Bucks. What happened against the Milwaukee Bucks? Yes, they go to 7, but Chris Middleton gets hurt. Can you sit up here and tell me, and y'all can let me know in the comments, do you believe this Boston Celtics team would actually beat that Milwaukee Bucks team in 7 if Chris Middleton played every single game? Some people say that the series will be over in 6. Then you go and play Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. A series where Jimmy Butler had to take some time off for his knees. A series where Tyler Hero missed some games. And you just barely sneak out of there in 7. And you almost blow the game in Game 7. So are we going to sit up here and say that the Boston Celtics are so far ahead of everybody, that they shouldn't try to get better? And yes, I love what they did this offseason. In my opinion, they checked all the boxes from bringing in Danilo Gallinari. I said that they need some wing scoring off the bench, some consistent wing scoring and shooting off the bench, and you get that with Danilo Gallinari. No, he's not the best defender, but if you ask him to play between 15 to 20 minutes and you're just telling him to score, especially with that bench unit that has a lot of defense, I think he's going to thrive in his role. Then I look at it bringing in Malcolm Brogdon. Sorry for that. You bring in Malcolm Brogdon. When I say we all, I'm talking about the guys I talk sports with, my guy Kenny, my guy Tyler, my guy Cam. So many people I talk sports with on the daily, and we all been saying that they need a point guard on their roster. And I love Marcus Smart, and I love what he brings. And I'd rather Marcus Smart be on my team than go against him. But I think Marcus Smart is more of a defender and not the best playmaker or not the best true point guard you want starting at point guard for your team. He's very inconsistent. Again, I love what he does for the Boston Celtics, and I would love to have him on my Sixers. Honestly, because I love what he brings to the table. But if you ask me if I'd rather have Malcolm Brogdon or Marcus Smart with the ball in their hand making plays in that fourth quarter, I'm taking Brogdon. And yes, Brogdon has some injury issues, but the point I'm trying to make is they checked off all the boxes that they needed going into next season. Some may say they're one of the best teams going into the season, right? And I'm one of those people. But again, if you swap out with this roster, Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant, you can take out Derek White too. This changes everything. Because right now, as currently constructed with Jaylen Brown, with Derek White, I'm looking at the Celtics as a contender. I don't know if I have them the ultimate favorite coming out the East, but you added Kevin Durant. And what does that tell me about Boston Celtics? Not only are they more of a contender, but they're a favorite. And they're a favorite not only to win the East, but the whole thing. Because the difference Kevin Durant would have made on this team if he's playing during their playoff run and in the finals, they win the finals. You can guarantee that. Because I'll tell you what, love Draymond Green defense, love Andrew Wiggins defense, but you add, Kevin Durant on that Boston Celtics team, and he's going to average 30. And I believe that. Because I look at what happened when he was with Brooklyn. He was by himself. I look at the offense. Steve Nash is not a better coach than the Boston Celtics head coach. They don't have a better game plan than the Boston Celtics game plan. Their roster is not as good as Boston's roster, some may say. So again, if I'm Boston, I can see their justification of trading for, Kevin Durant. He takes them over the top. Right now, again, I said, if you look at this roster, you look at the entire Eastern Conference, if you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm not just being biased, but again, you know how I feel about the 76ers. I stay quiet until the national media starts talking. I see the national media saying, look at the improvements Sixers have made, and James Harden is healthy and takes that James Harden jump as what we saw him play a couple years ago. They're a true favorite and a true contender. I look at Milwaukee coming back. And I look at the distance they made, plus I look at Chris Middleton if he's healthy. Then I look at the Nets if they're together. I look at Miami. I look at Atlanta. I look at Chicago. I look at all these teams saying, man, they're relatively close. Is anybody really over the top? There's nobody like that. It's really even. But I believe you added Kevin Durant to the Boston Celtics, it takes him over the top. So not to, ramble on that, but that's kind of where I see the Celtics trying to justify trading for Kevin Durant. And like I said, on paper, that's huge. But, man, a lot of people outside looking in, and I remember the report saying that Anthony Davis, his pop didn't want him going there, and a lot of these superstars didn't want to go there. And it's starting to show why. And, it's a business, right? We all can say it's a business. That's fine. But this is not the first time Boston has, traded away one of their core guys that helped them build this identity that they have now to try to win. We saw that happen with Isaiah Thomas, and he gave his heart, his soul, after his sister tragically passed, rest in peace. And after, he's battling through injuries when Boston's telling him it's all fine. And it took him years to get back to his true form. We saw him give it his all for that team, really embrace that identity just for them to trade him for Kyrie Irving and not work. So some may say that, man, you tried this again. Let's just build upon it. Let's just wait. But if you're Boston, how long can you really wait? Because you had this team been in, championship, aspirations and championship talks for the past, 5-6 years now, and it's your first time in the finals, and you'll have opportunities to win it and didn't. So you can't be mad at them for trying to say we can get a guy. We know we can get this guy. And we saw what this guy did when he went to one team to another that just lost in the finals, and they won 2 straight. So Boston could have that same mindset. So I understand where they're coming from, but what implications can this have if this trade, doesn't go off, if they can't, make the negotiations work and they, can't trade for Kevin Durant? What happens next for Boston? What happens, with this team identity? What happens with the team chemistry? Is it lost? Because I'll tell you what, if you're Jason Brown, Jason Brown, if you're Jaylen Brown, how do you feel right now? We all, like I said, can say it's a business, but put yourself in Jaylen Brown's shoes. This is your job, and you've been doing well at your job. The last quarter, you were the best for your job. Yet they want to replace you. How would you feel? You're right to be upset. We can all say, again, it's a business, but we're all human. How would you feel? I would be upset if I'm Jaylen Brown. And a lot of people are saying, and you could feel like you were the best player on that Boston Celtics team in the finals, or at least the most consistent player for those 6 games. A lot of people said that. A lot of people believe that. And you have no argument for me. So I saw Jaylen Brown hoop, and I'm a fan of Jaylen Brown. Why? Because I saw him come in the league as a defensive athletic guy to become a true legit two-way player. He's been working with Tracy McGrady, and once I heard that, I knew the sky was the limit for this guy because Tracy McGrady is one of the best scorers of all time. When I see Jaylen Brown, his mid-range game, he's loving it. I see him being able to get to the basket. I see him being able to knock down a three-pointer. So I see him improve every single year. Again, so if you're, Jaylen Brown, you're doing all these things for Boston. They're saying you can't play with Jason Tatum because you're trying to be this number one. He's number one. Yeah, you're playing consistent. You're doing your thing, and you're, proving all the naysayers wrong. And you're doing what Boston is telling you, but they want to trade you? A lot of people are saying, I was talking to my guy Tyler this morning when he sent me the notification. We're talking about it on the phone. And he was saying, I wouldn't be shocked if Jaylen Brown, requests for a trade. So let me know how you would feel. If Jaylen Brown requests for a trade from the Boston Celtics after he's hearing this news, I think, one, if I'm Boston, now I'm really trying to get Kevin Durant. Because what are you going to get back in return for a Jaylen Brown? What's the market out there for a Jaylen Brown? Again, you just went to the finals, so anything below that is not acceptable. So right now, I think if the Boston Celtics end up trading Jaylen Brown, it has to be for Kevin Durant. Wouldn't be mad at any choice, Jaylen Brown has if he comes out and he says, I want to be traded, because you can look at this tweet that I'm about to put up on the screen, and this was his reaction. Deservedly so. Again, you did all this thing for this franchise. You feel like you can feel like you're the number one, and I'm not going to say how he feels because I don't know how he feels, but he plays like he can be a number one for a lot of teams in the NBA. A 1 or 1B, that's what the role he's in right now. But they showed me that they can coexist. But again, with Boston, how long do you want to just be a contender? You want to win a championship. And I think Kevin Durant, this is how I ended off this episode. This is how I end off this, little thing right here. Where do you rank the Boston Celtics now, with this team currently constructed, versus where do you rank them adding Kevin Durant? I think that's two different teams. Two different teams. So, I'm curious what happens next. I just want to, talk about this, the Boston Celtics. And again, I'm not surprised because I've been saying for a while, if any team has enough to do it, it's Boston. And it's been like this for years. Boston Celtics, they had, the most ammunition in the league to get all these superstars. They shot and they missed with trying to get Kyrie Irving. Never thought that was the right deal anyway. But with Kyrie Irving, you could have put something together to get Anthony Davis or Paul George. You never did what you had to do. So I'm not mad at Boston saying this is our time to win. Let's go get a top 5 player today, currently in the NBA. Top 15 player of all time. We saw what he did when he went to Golden State Warriors, and they went to 3 straight finals? And they're a Kevin Durant injury away against the Rockets from winning 3 straight. Come on now. If I'm Boston, if you can make it work, because you got to understand, Boston's head coach, he was on that Nets that Nets coaching staff. He, coached Kevin Durant. And I think they can make it work because when I'm looking at Kevin Durant, he's a guy that, in my opinion, that can fit in every single system because he doesn't need 1,000 dribbles to get his shot. He's very, very efficient. He just plays and he adapts. So that's why you see him playing a different style with Brooklyn, because the coaching is not using him properly, especially the guy that's been banged up. But it's not a Kevin Durant rant. Point I'm trying to make is I think he can fit with Boston. And as an NBA fan, I think Boston Celtics need to go for it. You put in a Jaylen Brown, you put in a Derek White, you throw in a couple picks, you maybe throw in a Payton Pritchard if you have to. Or, the Nets don't really need a lot of point guards. You maybe throw in some big man depth. You do what you Daniel Theis, if he's still on the roster, I gotta look. The point I'm trying to make is if you're Boston, you're here now. So try to get it done. And if you're Brooklyn Nets, I think this is the best offer you're going to get right now. Take what you can get. So on that note, this is a wrap for this. Just want to talk to y'all about, this trade stuff that's going on right now. It's a lot of stuff, make sure you're following my Instagram, Twitter, sportsw_Chris. Description is going to have all the links. Also for my website, I'm going to have a lot of stuff on there. So that's what to expect from me coming up. It's about to be another YouTube video either coming out today or tomorrow talking about Lamar Jackson, the NFL. But man, you love to see this NBA news. And there's also another, trade that just got declined. I may talk about that today or tomorrow. I don't know yet. Just know it has to do with a team out LA. But that's a wrap.